Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online news video with me, Sherman. Today guys, patch 6.0.0 for the PTS is out, and this is for the Greymoor chapter. Now there is a lot of stuff getting added to this, and I will be honest, I'm not going to read through everything. I'm going to have to skip through a lot of stuff because there is too much information here. And please remember, this is a PTS patch 1. Don't expect, I would say, 99.9% of these to change. Okay, and I say that with the nicest of intent. We might see a 1% change between things going from here to live. One, the devs are working from home, so it might be a lot harder to get in and do things when it comes to manipulating stuff with the PTS. And two, you guys have no idea, there's so many new things coming with this. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. As you guys can see, and if you also check the link in the description below, you can read through the patch notes yourself. I'm going to skip through a lot of this really fast. So we are getting Greymoor, of course. Greymoor is coming with two locations, the above ground, which is Western Skyrim, and then the below ground, which is the Blackreach area. One is 60% of the normal map size. The other one is 40% of a normal map size. So together, they're 100% of the size of, like, say, any of the places that we've been to. So Western Skyrim, really small. Blackreach, kind of small. I'm going to guess Blackreach is going to be more like DLC size. So, in space. But it's still, that's pretty big. So, new zones, Western Skyrim, and Blackreach. New Antiquities system. New trial kinds Aegis. This is really cool. There's actually a lot of really good stuff there. New item sets. There's 10 new item sets being added to the game. And not only is there 10 new item sets, but all monster sets almost. When I say all, most monster sets and most weapon sets from like Maelstrom Arena, Dragonstar, Asylum Sanctorium, Black Rose Prison, all those got adjustments and some changes. So yeah, new collectibles, new achievements, new dies and titles, new homes, new furnishings, new motives, and new crafting ingredients. And these are actually kind of cool. Some of them sound really promising. I got to get in and mess with them. Base game changes, vampire updates. We all knew this was coming. Then on top of that, they also did some adjustments to Werewolf and also a few other skills, not a whole lot. Imperial Cities getting some new updates. Housing precision editing mode. Any of you people who like to do housing stuff, I know a few of you. Yeah, this is right up your alley. You guys are going to love this. New furnishings, new achievements, new motives, and then of course updated character select screen. New audio stuff or known issues, audio, combat, and gameplay and housing. And then of course the DLC chapter changes, new combat and gameplay changes, itemization and item sets. And then of course going on through all this, there's a bunch of stuff there. So going over them, so we get the new Western Skyrim and Blackreach. With these two locations comes 6 delves with sky shards, 6 challenging world bosses from a sea giant all the way down to a dwarven colossus in the deep mines of Blackreach. So both of these, or all this stuff just sounds amazing. But this is my favorite part. 2 new public dungeons, the ancient tombs of Labyrinthine and the dwarven stronghold of, I can't pronounce it, bless you. So it's like, yeah, new crafting stations, or new set crafting stations, defending the realm of Western Skyrim, whatever, powerful Harrow Storms. These are the new, like, Dark Anchors, or Abyssal Geysers, or even Dragon events, where it's a large-scale open-world event. Probably won't be too soloable, unlike, Dark Anchors are soloable by a skilled player, and not even a highly skilled player, just a skilled player. And then, like, Abyssal Geysers can be soloed by a skilled player. And, you know, dragons are soloable, but they're a pain in the butt to solo because trying to do it when there's not a group around is really hard. But these sound really interesting. I can't wait to test them out and see what they're like. Over 30 hours of new quest content, exploration, and achievement hunting. Antiquities, the new system. So we're going to be able to find antiquities in the world. It's basically like a scavenger hunt thing. They sound really cool, but again, have to get in and do some testing. Scrying, excavating, and antiquity, the Equatorian's Eye. Those are the new skill lines you're going to get. So, list of antiquities. So there's the Bloodlord's Embrace, a heavy chest. There's Malekith's Band of Brutality, a ring. The Ring of the Wild Hunt, another ring. Snow Treaders, which is medium feet. Torque of Tonal Consistency, the necklace. And the Threshing Stranglers, Light Hands. And all these do, like some of these require to own certain DLCs and stuff. And then we have the Dwarven Abin Wolf Mount, which the first time I came in has been earnable in game. Then the mount is split into 17 fragments found throughout the base game and Western Skyrim. You'll need to collect all 17 pieces in order to form the mount. Antique map furnishings for nearly all zones in the game. 3 new motives, the Ancestral Altmer, Ancestral Nord, Ancestral Orc. Cosmetic options, Companion Coronet, Yuskimir's Chosen Body Markings, Yuskimir's Chosen Face Markings, Dwemer Crown, Dwemer Body Markings, Dwemer Face Markings, the Aldemary's Something Music Box Furnishing, the Magicka Lance Siege Weapon, a new emote, the Alanor Alamade, whatever, over 100 new sellable treasures, 3 per zone, worthy of total value of 300,000 gold, over 50 new highly impressive furnishings for your home. Not going to read the spoilers on that. New trial kinds ages, a unique skin, of course, for completing it, new and unique multiplayer mementos, several titles, and unique housing items. So for all of you hardcore in-gamers, there you guys got a new trial. For all you casual players, you've got a new trial to play. And it actually sounds pretty good. Now, out of the 10 new item sets, we're going to be looking at the Overland drop sets, the crafted sets, and then the trial sets. Now, they did do something different with the trial sets. They actually have them listed as Magicka DPS, Stamina DPS, Healer, and Tank. So, but let's go ahead and start it with the Overland sets. So we have the Light Armor Overland set, and this one I'm actually impressed by. A lot of people have been wanting another ice-based set, and this one sounds really cool for those Warden players who want to have, like, kind of like that elemental druid type character as a healer. So you have Winter's Respite. Now this is a light armor set, adds two-piece adds mag recovery, 3-piece max magicka, 4-piece max magicka, 5-piece casting abilities that leave an effect on the ground will create a circle of healing frost for 10 seconds. You and your allies restore X amount of health every second. While inside the circle, this effect can occur once every 10 seconds. And as you can see, it heals for 2,358. That can be adjusted by healing stuff in your CP. Hands down, one of the coolest new healer sets I've seen added to the game. This is actually going to go on one of my characters. I'm super stoked. Venomous Smite, medium armor, another really good set. 2, 3, and 4 is very similar to a lot of other sets. 2-piece of crit on the 2 and 3-piece, and then the 4-piece weapon damage. Very much like Night Mother's Gaze and many other sets. But dealing critical damage inflicts Hunter's Venom on your enemy for X amount of poison damage to your target and nearby enemies every second. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. Remember, this right here, until we get in the game and can look at the set specifically, we can't say how exactly it's going to work until we get in and test it. So, it looks like a very promising starter DPS set. Really good, you know, to combo with, like, say, Hunting's Rage, or if you wanted to just combo it with other stuff, then there is a few other sets we're going to come to crafted-wise that would go really well with this. Right, next up, the Heavy Armor, Internal Vigor. magic recovery on the 2-piece, 3-piece, stamina recovery, 4-piece, health recovery, 5-piece, max health, and then another 5-piece bonus. Add 337 stamina and magic recovery while your health is above 50%. Adds 1011 health recovery while your health is below 50%. This is actually a really interesting set, really recovery based, and makes it a really good solo set for solo players, especially hybrid players. So I like that. Next up, crafting. Stuan's favor, 2-piece, 2-piece. First one is weapon damage and then in spell damage, so you get both of those. Then you get physical and spell penetration. Then you get weapon damage and spell damage. So this is really hybrid extensive, this one here. And then moving on, and this is craftable. Increase your physical and spell penetration by 13,355 against off-balance enemies. If your build is built around the idea of stripping enemies of resistance and crit, this is like a very powerful set. But to build for spell and physical penetration and spell and physical crit isn't easy with a lot of the functionality in the game. But this is still an amazing setup. Dragon's Appetite. 1-piece, or 2-piece, sorry, adds weapon damage, 3-piece stamina recovery, 4-piece stamina recovery, and then the 5-piece. Increases your damage done to bleeding enemies by 225, dealing non-bleed damage to bleeding enemies, generates a persistent stack of Dragon's Appetite up to once per second. After 10 stacks, you consume Dragon's Appetite and heal for 6,415. This is a really cool set for those players who might have a little bit of struggle with recovery and survivability. Plays really great with that one set I was mentioning above. The Venomous Smite, the combination of both would be really interesting to see what people could come up with there. Spell Parasite is the last craftable set. This one adds spell damage on the 2-piece, 3-piece, spell critical, 4-piece, max magicka, and then the 5-piece. Whenever you deal damage, you restore 63 magicka. This effect can occur every 0.25 seconds. Now you gotta think, on average you can have anywhere between 3 to 5 dots applied at a time. That means they're ticking every 3 or every second for the 3 to 5 seconds. You're gonna get a ton of magicka back. This is a great sustain set for a Magicka DPS character, or even somebody who's looking for a little bit of oomph behind their character when it comes to Magicka DPS. So I really like this, and I love that it really plays on this sustain part. Next is the trial sets, and these have both a normal version and a perfected version. So starting with the Magicka DPS set, we have Roaring Opportunist, 2-piece spell penetration, 3-piece minor slayer, 4-piece spell damage, 5-piece normal, dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack to an enemy that's been set off balance, grants you and up to 11 group members major slayer, increasing your damage done to dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 15% for 10 seconds. Roaring Opportunist can only affect a target every 22 seconds. This is actually a really good, like, group-based adding damage set. So I really like that. I like that set. And again, remember, a lot of this stuff, we can visually see the numbers and give our opinion, but we can't really say how well it's going to work until you get in and test it. So until I can get in and test this set, what I'm seeing is actually pretty good. Endears Might. This is a stamina DPS set. 2-piece adds weapon damage. 3-piece gain minor slayer at all times, increasing your damage done to dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 5%. And then 4-piece adds stamina recovery. 5-piece perfected. Now this is the perfected bonus. More physical penetration. And then the 5-piece actual bonus is dealing critical damage, grants you a stack of Giant's Endurance up to 1 each second. Each stack of Giant's Endurance adds 100 stamina recovery up to 5 stacks. Dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack removes Giant's Endurance and grants you Giant's Might for 10 seconds, increasing your weapon damage by 158 per stack removed. So if you have all 5 stacks, and you heavy attack, and you get your fully charged heavy attack off, you're going to get over 700 weapon damage. Almost 800 weapon damage. Think about this. 800 weapon damage added to your character for that 10 seconds. And then you cannot have Giant's Endurance and Might active at the same time. So, once you activate Giant's Might, you have to wait until the 10 seconds ends before you can start gaining stacks again. But it's still, I mean, 10 seconds uptime, and then 5 seconds of building recovery. This is a great set, and I'll explain why. When sets like this are introduced, what it does is it adds a new element to like how players can play a character. But on top of that, what this does is this gives a person a recovery set with a DPS thing built in. And then on top of that, even greater DPS. So this would be really good for a high risk versus return. So you have the return, then you have the high risk, which is the high damage. You know, like you're going to take damage, you're going to be out fighting, but the risk part is you're going to be getting, you know, taking that damage. The return part is you're getting that stamina and that extra weapon damage in between the phases. So like if you're really focusing on the phase part of an encounter, dealing damage when you need to, and then working on recovery off part, you've got that nice balance there. So you could be doing recovery and damage, and then heavy damage when you need to burst it out. So it's a nice trade-off, and I really like that. Kind's Wheel, or Wind, is the healing set. This one adds 2-piece magic recovery, 3-piece gain minor Aegis at all times, reducing your damage taken from dungeon trial arena mobs by 5%, sorry. 4-piece adds 4% healing done, 5-piece perfected adds mag recovery, and then the 5-piece bonus. Casting an ability or drinking a potion that applies a major buff to yourself or an ally creates a pool of Kind's Blessing for 4 seconds. You and ally standing Kind's Blessing restore 508 stamina and magicka every second. This effect can occur every 10 seconds. So you're going to have 6 seconds where you're not going to get it. The rest of the time, you're going to be getting this increase of stamina and magicka. Really great support set. And I really like it. This and that ice set would make an interesting combination, because you have that ice heal, and then you have this, and then if you had a monster set that did something else, like, you could have some really cool combinations going on with these different things. Next up, Varol's Command. This is really interesting. Tanking set, 2-piece, max stamina, 3-piece, minor Aegis at all times, reducing your damage taken from dungeon trial mobs by 5%, we know. 4-piece adds max health, 5-piece perfected, 4% healing taken, 5-piece total. Or overall, you're going to get this no matter what. After dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack, apply major Aegis to you and up to 5 nearby group members for 10 seconds, reducing damage taken from dungeon trial arena mobs by 15%. This effect can occur once every 28 seconds. Now, again, another great set for that not risk reward, but more of like phase encounter. You got this part of the phase of this encounter where you're focusing on resources and other things. Then you got this part of the phase encounter where you're going to be taking damage. So you can play off of that, where you can give your allies that extra oomph. Now it does have a 28-second cooldown, which is really long, but for 10 seconds of this, I think it's well worth it. Like 10 seconds of 15% damage reduction on one person, 20% on you. That's a really good trade-off. And it's a really good set for that kind of environment. Next up, Mythic Sets. Now this is the Mythic stuff that you get from the Antiquities, doing Antiquities. So, the first one is the Bloodlord's Embrace, Heavy Chest. Dealing damage, and these are all 1-piece bonuses. Dealing damage with a bash attack places a persistent, uncleansable blood curse on an enemy. You can only have one blood cursed enemy at a time, and dealing additional bash damage moves the blood curse Blocking an attack from a blood-cursed enemy restores 685 Magicka to you. This effect can occur once every second. This sounds like a really good chess piece for a vampire tank, because a vampire tank is going to focus on utilizing mix of Magicka stamina abilities like most tanks, but in this case a little bit more maybe on Magicka, because you might be using some vampiric abilities or some other abilities from other class skill lines, and taking advantage of that. And this just gives you a way of getting that, keeps that resource management on you for the Magicka part. So it's a really, I like this trade-off. It seems like a really good set for that. Next up we have the Thrash and Stranglers, the Light Hands. One piece bonus, of course, again. Killing an enemy grants you a persistent stack of Slode's Call, up to a maximum of 20 stacks. Each stack increases your spell damage by 150, but also increases your damage taken by 2%. Removing the Threshian Stranglers, crouching or going invisible removes all stacks of Slode's Call. So, this is a 20 stack thing. Now, if you notice, there's no cooldown. That means you have to crouch to get rid of this. Otherwise, you keep that permanent 2% damage reduction, or 2% increase in damage you take, but you get that really high. Really great for those glass cannon builds. High risk, great reward. Like, that's insane. Alright, Snow Treaders. These are the medium feet. You are immune to snares and immobilizations that can be cleansed. While in combat, you cannot sprint. Now this, a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's a PvP set. But it's also really good for those who do a lot of farming of, like, items and stuff in dungeons, public dungeons, delves, world bosses, farming of the world of resources and stuff. Because there's a lot of times where you're running along, you're just trying to get by enemies, and they will immobilize you or snare you. This gives you a way to keep just moving and trekking. So, really good for PvP, really good for that. Also really good in Imperial City. Next up, Ring of the Wild Hunt. Increase your movement speed by 15% while in combat. Increase your movement speed by 45% while out of combat. Now remember, all these things are one piece. This is really cool because this is another one of those, it can be used in PvP, but it can also be used in PvE for farming. So we have that nice trade-off. Again, in this set that I really like. Next is Malekith's Band of Brutality. Another really, like, this one is just crazy when you look at it in combination with other things. Increase your damage done by 25%. You cannot deal critical damage. A lot of people will say, well, that's horrible. Well, think about running this with like a build that's made for penetrating armor only. No high crit, just ripping through resistance, especially physical resistance. Then you get through that high penetration, right? You rip through all that armor. You get into, say, Imperial City, where you're not focused on high crit damage as much as you are survivability. Running this set is a really good combination and trade-off in that, because a lot of people will build for N-Pin in Imperial City. That means no crit damage. That's 25% more damage. I like it. And for a high precision, or not a high precision, but a high penetration build, a great thing there. I mean, a tank wanting a little bit of extra damage, that would be great. While your stamina, so this is the Torque of Tonal Constancy. So, while your stamina is less than 50%, increase your magic recovery by 450. While your Magicka is less than 50%, increase your stamina recovery by 450. So, it's an interesting one because it's a hybrid-based necklace. So, you got this, when your Magicka is below 450%, or below 50%, or stamina is, you get 450 Magicka. While your stamina is below 450, you get, or below 50%, you get 450 stamina. So you get this nice trade-off, which I think is really good. New collectibles, a new pet, Solitude Silver Wolf, and that's from completing one of the quests. New mementos, Miniature Dwarven Sun, Kind's Tablet, and the Ritual Circle Totem. New costumes, Antiquarian Robes, Master Field Cartographer, and then the Antiquarian Field Garb. Then we have a Reach Mage Ceremonial Skull Cap, and that's from the 20 Arena proofs, so that's pretty cool. Adornments, the Wolf Crown of Solitude skins, the Silverborn Silver, or Seaborn Silver, and that's from Kind's Aegis Conqueror's achievement. Then you have 3 new outfit styles, the Antiquarian's Pickaxe, the Wolf of Solitude Replica Sword, and then the Karthwatch Sigil Shield. And now remember, a lot of these are from doing, like this one is probably going to be a pretty rough one, I don't know, but we'll have to see. These are 2 quests, so you're going to get these pretty easy. A new Undaunted Trophy, of course, bust for the Kind's Aegis, and that comes in normal and veteran. And then new achievements, over 80 new achievements and 12 unique titles, and an assortment of collectible rewards. Various achievements, furnishing unlocks 2 dies and more. New dies and titles, so the 2 new dies are Blackreach Blue and Marble White. Then there's a whole bunch of new titles there. New homes, Snowmelt Suite. This one sounds really cool. It's visiting the Bard's College in the audience of the Blue Palace and whatever. And then the Proudspire Manor, and then the Bastion Sanguarius. All these sound really good. I will have to definitely do some videos on those. New furnishings. Lots of new furnishings here. New motives. Blackreach Vanguard motive. The Ancestral High Elf and Ancestral Orc and Ancestral Norn motive chapters, as well as their associated style items of etched adamantium, etched manganese, and etched whatever via the Antiquities system. Then new crafting ingredients. Alchemy has Crimson Nirnroot, Vile Coagulant, and Charnus Egg, and all new 3 regions carry new effects trait of Minor Timidity. So this is a debuff that consumes the target's ultimate points while in combat. When a poison with the timidity trait is procced on the target, it will consume the target's ultimate points for a short amount of time. And if for some reason you are consuming a potion with the timidity trait while in combat, it would consume your own ultimate points for a short period of time. Enchanting added a new essence rune known as Indigo, which can occasionally be obtained as bonus loot from the Antiquities system. This rune can be used to make 2 new types of jewelry glyphs: Prismatic Recovery, that means tri-stat recovery, and reduced skill cost. So nice. Base game changes, Vampire update, and there is a lot to the Vampire. Like I said, you guys want to check this, read through this paragraphs of stuff you can. Check the link in the description below, but we're just going to move on down here to the actual stuff. So right here, I do want to mention this. Some Vampire abilities have been designated criminal acts and will trigger on kill sight or kill on sight amount of bounty if you cast near Townsfolk or Witness. So this is something new they added to the Vampire, which I'm glad they did. So first off, Drain Essence. This ability has been removed and replaced with Eviscerate. All experience gained from Drain Essence has been transferred to Eviscerate. Mistform. This ability has been moved to the 5th skill in the skill line. All experience earned in Mistform has been preserved. This ability is now a toggle, draining Magicka every second while it is toggled on. It requires you to channel it while it is toggled on. You cannot use other abilities while in Mistform. So you have 2 morphs, of course. You have Elusive Mist and Blood Mist. One is remains unchanged and grants Major Expedition while in this form. This is one that is going to be highly used in PvP. We all know that. Not a lot of people are going to use it in PvE. Blood Mist is going to be one that people use in PvE. This new morph deals damage to enemies around you and heals you for the damage caused. So this is actually a really cool one. I like it. We'll have to see how it works in game, but I do like the sound of it. Bat Swarm. This ability has been removed from the game and replaced with Blood Scion. All experience in the Bat Swarm has been transferred to Blood Scion. It actually sounds pretty cool. So here's the first new skill, Eviscerate. This new skill is a direct damage melee attack that deals damage based on your own missing health. So it has 2 morphs. You have Blood for Blood and then an Arterial Burst. The first one costs health to use and increase the damage bonus based on your own missing health, And then the other one will always be a critical strike if you use it while under half health. So both of these sound really interesting. I want to see how they work out in the game. Next up, we have Blood Frenzy, a new skill. This is a new skill, is a permanent buff that can be toggled on or toggled off and on outside of the global cooldown. While it is toggled on, you gain a massive bonus to your weapon and spell damage, but your health is drained every second and cannot be healed by other players. So you have two versions of the morph, Simmering Frenzy and Sated Fury. First one, increase your weapon and spell damage bonus, but also increases the health cost the longer it remains toggled on. So this one will give you increased weapon and spell damage, but then it gives you this higher effect. Then you have the Sated Fury. When it is toggled off, you heal for a portion of the health you spent while it was toggled on. Both of those sound interesting. I do like that Simmering Frenzy, but I'll have to see how it affects me when I play. Next, Vampiric Drain. This new skill is a short channel beam ability which deals low damage to an enemy but heals you for a significant amount of your missing health over time. So Drain Vigor, this one restores a portion of your missing stamina over the channel, and then Exhilarating Drain generates ultimate over the channel. So the really nice thing about this Vampiric Drain is it has two really interesting effects. So you have the two morphs, and both morphs are going to give you some really cool play styles. One is very focused on hybrid or even stamina DPS play. The other one is focused more on ultimate gain for the channel. And it's going to heal you while you do this. Tanking. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Mesmerized. Now this is a cool one. This skill is now a crowd control ability that affects all enemies in a cone in front of you, stunning them if they are facing your direction. So you have two morphs, Hypnosis and Stupefy. So this one affects all enemies around you instead of enemies in front of you, and it stuns them. Next you have Stupefy, which enemies are snared after the stun ends. So you have like two really cool abilities here for crowd control, and I love that they added this to the vampire skill line, because now you have this new way of playing the vampire that's not only effective as damage dealer but also can play the role of tank, because now you got a new stun. Blood Scion. So interesting thing, this new ultimate is a transformation skill that turns you into a horrific vampire monster. Transforming instantly heals you into full health. While transformed, you have increased health, stamina, and magicka. You heal for a percentage of all damage caused, and you can see enemies through walls. Now there's two versions. Swarming Scion, which is basically the bat form, or bat swarm. Bat swarm around you while transformed, dealing damage to enemies that come close. And then you have Perfect Scion, which you ascend to Vampire Stage 5 while transformed, which grants you all the benefits of Vampire Stage 4 with none of the drawbacks. That is awesome. Alright, so we have Savage Feeding. This ability is removed from the game and replaced with Feed. Supernatural Recovery. This ability is removed from the game. Dark Stalker. Blood Ritual is now the 4th passive skill. Undeath is the 5th passive skill. And then Unnatural Resistance with Undeath. So Dark Stalker, this ability has been moved to the 2nd passive skill in the skill line. Now decreases the time you enter crouch by 25 to 50% at all times instead of at night, and continues to allow you to ignore movement speed penalty of sneak. Feed. So this is the first passive you get now, and what it does is just allows you to feed on enemies. And the new feed has a like Blade of Woe thing to it. So it's not like your character goes up and goes sucking blood out of them. You actually attack them and like leap on them and bite them. There's like 2 different versions, they said. So really cool. Strike from the Shadows, new skill. This new skill is a 3rd passive skill. It grants a short bonus to your weapon and spell damage after leaving Sneak, Invisibility, or Misform. Awesome. Unnatural Movement, new skill. This new skill is the 6th passive skill. It reduces the cost of sprint and causes you to become invisible after continuous sprinting. Or causes you to become invisible. Now, why did they put invisibility? Alright. New performance improvements, server optimization and stability, and then client optimization and stability. Just more fixes, hopefully to make the game run smoother. We'll have to see. Imperial City updates. So lots of new things in the Imperial City. So it underwent significant changes for this update, with the primary goal of making them more friendlier for multiplayer, easier to get involved in, and brought up to more modern ESO standards. Note, this does not make getting places, fighting monsters, or returning to your base any easier. The Imperial City is just as deadly as it used to be in that regard. So watch your step, bring a buddy or 12, and be ready to repel enemy players. Or, you know, die and resurrect back at your base. You do you, kind of thing. So sewer patrol mini-bosses got changed. District-based patrolling got changed. All daily quests changed to some degree, or became accessible without doing the main story. Like they even mentioned the different dailies and what they changed to them. And then housing precision editing mode. So we're just going to get right into it. So to use this mode, simply point at a previously placed furnishing in the house header and select Precision Editor. Unlike normal selection, you are free to move your camera and character in this mode without adjusting the position of the furnishing. It only moves when you tell it to, so you can check the placement from a few different angles without needing to pick up and place the furnishing every time. That's cool. You can toggle between movement and rotation of the selected furnishing, as you can cycle between different degrees of precision from a single centimeter up to a meter at a time for movement, and from 1/20th to a degree to 15 degrees for rotation. Whether you're building a tower from scratch or just hanging a painting, the new straighten keybind allows you to easily snap your furnishing to the nearest vertical angle. You can even see exact numerical positions and rotations, selecting furnishers. And then there's new furnishings, the Vampiric Liberations and Vampiric Sovereign Statue. New achievements, 7 new achievements for vampires and werewolves have been added to the base game for you to obtain. New motives, the Ice Reach Coven motive and the Pry Watch motive. And then they updated the character select screen to show snow, but it's Greymoor setting. Alright, new template information. If you aren't doing PTS, then you don't really need to worry about this, but if you are, they added a new alchemy ingredients to the alchemy box and added a number of new motives. Added a container for the new mythic items for testing. Added item set containers for the new Overland and Trial sets, and then added perfected master Maelstrom weapons to the ability altering bag, and I will get to those in a second. Added bag containing siege weapons in the consumables container. This has sub containers for each alliance. Added vampire and werewolf maxer items to grant associated skill lines to max rank. Scrying and evocation skill lines have full XP, but no passives assigned. A box of leads can be found in top level inventory. Unlock the memento received from the trial. Added AVA potions to the potion container. Alchemist auditions. Yeah. So some known issues, mostly to do with this update mainly. Clockwork City changes, Dark Brotherhood, Daggerfall. Elsewhere, Necromancer tether abilities such as Restoring Tether and Shocking Siphon are now once again on the global cooldown and have had their targeting improved. Furthermore, Bone Tyrant, Bone Goliath, the heal from this ability and its morphs will no longer trigger from mend wounds or its morphs, and states it requires dealing damage to proc. Fixed an issue where this ability and its morphs would end abruptly if they ranked up while it was active. Grave Grasp fixed an issue. Yep. Alright, moving on. We're just going to scroll on down, guys, to the base game changes now. Because all this is just minor changes to stuff. Alright, combat and gameplay. Excuse me, had to clear my throat. Actually, I need a drink. Alright, so, starting with combat and abilities. General, synergies now have a hierarchy to determine which synergy appears first when multiple are present to you. Quest, dungeon, arena, or trial-related synergies now always appear over player source synergies. Furthermore, for player source synergies, the following rule sets is applied. Healing, shield-related synergies will take utmost priority. Utility, buff, and debuff synergies will appear next. And strictly damage-related synergies are last in priority. In a situation where Purify, Conduit, and Combustion are all available to activate, they are given to you, Purify, Healing will appear first, then Combustion, Utility, then Conduit, excessive damage. Fixed an issue where the Thorn abilities such as Spiked Armor and Thews of the Harbinger were not being considered direct damage. Fixed an issue where partially charged heavy attacks or medium attacks were not considered direct damage. And then updated and optimized the logic of many of the player passives to reduce loads on the server. Updated numerous proc conditions logic because the server stuff fixed numerous issues where some gap closer abilities such as a Cursed Charge cannot be used while immobilized. Pet basic attacks no longer remove players from stealth or invisibility, only special area effect attacks. In some instances, they may still attack stealth targets. Pet summoning abilities now have a preventative window after completing their cast that prevents attempting to summon them again while they're already alive. Pets will no longer inherit the parents, or will now properly inherit the parents' bonus related to armor, such as a concentration or prodigy. Fixed an issue where pets could fail to summon if they immediately being sprinting and casting. A lot of this is pet stuff, but let's go ahead and get on down here to this. Reduce the damage of bashing by 80%. Now, they do go into explaining why. I 100% agree with them. A lot of people won't, but I 100% agree. So, Glyphs of Bashing, this enhancement now increases the damage of your bash attacks by up to 500 per CP 160 gold quality enchantment, rather than increasing your weapon and spell damage of your bash attacks by 348. Then, Deadly Bash, one-handed sword and shield passive. This passive now increases the damage of your bash attacks by 750 to 1,500, rather than increasing your weapon and spell damage of your bash attacks by 250 and 500. Now, it does state down here, and we'll get to this in a second, but it does state down here that the above changes were made to reduce the impact of bash weaving in normal damage dealers rotation, which was creating a huge rift between those who did and did not engage with the mechanic. Bashing is meant to primarily focus on interrupting of mechanics, as well as to help increase or control proc conditions of item sets, passives, or other events, rather than dealing damage. We've decided to retain the ability to deal damage with bashes, however, and even increase their overall effectiveness if specifically built for. The flat damage modifiers will result in a slightly decrease of standard base bash builds, but a more moderate increase for super specialized bash builds, such as pummeling Glyph builds that go all in on enchantments, passives, and item sets, while not going too far like the builds were at its launch. So this is basically to bring that bash rotation down a little bit in DPS scaling, which is good. But we'll have to test again and see how much. So increased healing reduction from Battle Spirit to 60% from 50%. Buffs and debuffs, they updated multiple abilities and item sets that grant the caster permanent major and minor debuffs to make them work more consistently with other temporary sources of major and minor buffs. This fix will help reduce situations where permanent sources of major and minor debuffs would clash with one another and cancel their effects. It will also help situations where item sets that require major or minor buffs or debuffs apply their proc more appropriately. Dragon Knight got changed to Empowering Change that now only grants 1 stack of Empower rather than 2. Siphoning Strikes This, they fixed an issue with that on the Nightblade and Soul Shred. This synergy granted from this ultimate and its morphs will now work for allies who are 10 meters or closer to the target rather than 10 meters or further. That is actually really good, because Soul Shred's a really good synergy to use on a Nightblade healer. And you put it down, and then now they can activate it when they're up close to you, which is going to be even better. Sorcerer, Dark Magic, Ruined Prison, Defensive Prison, just a fix. Storm Calling Overload, a fix, and then Energy Overload, another fix. A lot of these fixes in here. Dawn's Wraith, Sunfire on the Templar, Reflective Light, fixed an issue where this ability is used natural targets, whatever. Restoring Light, Rite of Passage, fixed an issue. Warden, Animal Companion, Feral Guardian, fixed issue. Savage Beast, and Scorch, they just fixed issues with them. Now, big change, and a good change in my opinion. Weapon, Restoration Staff, Heavy Attack. Updated the Heavy Attack with this weapon to operate more closely to Lightning Staffs. It will now have 2 minor ticks of damage and then a final larger hit of damage at the end, rather than 3 continuous ticks of damage. This will fix numerous issues where the sets or passives could fail to recognize the fully charged state with this weapon. And the reason why is because every time you would hit with this, it would do the same consistent damage all 3 attacks. So it looked like it was dealing more damage than the Lightning Staff, when overall it was doing the same amount of damage almost, depending on your build, but it did it in bigger chunks. So it was just really interesting. So this will have to do some work with it. Vampire Misform fixed numerous issues. Werewolf. So let's read what the developers say. The Werewolf experience has received many minor updates to its toolkit, focusing on enhancing its existing gameplay based on aggressive and fast-paced playstyles, as well as introducing more aspects related to the pack leader fantasy, where you can lead your allies in and enfeeble your foes. So this is actually really cool. A lot of the changes here. Now you have almost 2 distinct roles with the Werewolf. You have this aggressive DPS role, or you have more of the leader pack role, which is, well, you'll have to see. But like the way these two play now is so different, but so cool at the same time. So here are scenes. So Call of the Pack, this passive now works with Direwolf summoned from the pack leader. Here is Scene's Bounty. Casting this ability while at full health now restores stamina. While this ability or its morphs are slotted, your passives gain major brutality. So you have the 2 morphs here. You have Hircine's Rage and Hircine's Fortitude. Casting this ability at full health now grants major berserk for 6 seconds, but also causes you to take additional damage. And then Hircine's Fortitude. This ability now also increases your health and stamina recovery by a small amount of the healing caused, with a cap, as well as continues to increase your base healing of this ability. So 2 really interesting changes there. And I say that because they are interesting, how those will play into the game. Piercing Howl. This ability and its morphs now deal 10% more damage to enemies who are facing you. Howl of Agony. Decrease the damage bonus of this morph to 25%, down from 33%. But it now also works on enemies who are facing you. Or, yeah, who are facing you. So it does, it's like you get this greater DPS range out of it. Pounce. This ability now became Carnage for 5 seconds after casting. It will allow, which allows you to quickly rend your target, causing them to bleed for 10 seconds with an aggressive execute scaling bonus. So now you have two morphs. Brutal Pounce, which is Brutal Carnage, converting it into a conal attack. Each time an enemy is hit by Brutal Carnage, you gain extra weapon damage for a maximum of 6 times. And then Feral Pounce, this one was changed to Feral Carnage, grants you stamina in addition to extending the time you stay in werewolf form. So both of these are very good again and played a little differently. You got that more aggressive DPS side, and then you got that more like, I want to stay a werewolf longer. I want to focus on being the werewolf, which really plays into the werewolf like pack leader side. So I really like that change. And then you have Roar. This ability now causes enemies to become off balance for 7 seconds. While slotted, this ability and its morphs passively grant major savagery. And then Deafening Roar. This morph now also applies minor maim to enemies for its duration. And then Furious Roar. This morph now increases your heavy attack speed by 33% for its duration. So, again, you got these two different dynamics. The minor maim to enemies for its duration, and then this high, attack speed for heavy attacks. Both play into the different play styles, but really interesting how they will affect the gameplay. Werewolf Transformation Pack Leader. This morph no longer causes your direwolves to apply minor maim to enemies when you deal damage. Instead, while you are transformed, you gain 10% damage mitigation, and you passively grant you and 11 other nearby allies minor courage. Yeah, that's just too cool. I like the Pack Leader thing because now it applies to your group. And it just makes you more, aggressive in a group in a way. Alright, Fighters Guild Silver Bolts. Silver Bolts, Silver Shards. They fixed an issue with that. Psijic Order, Imbue Weapon. This morph heal now ranks at 1% value of the damage per rank rather than 1.1%. Mend Wounds. They fixed an issue where the heavy attack could fall to chain properly after using this ability, or fail to chain properly. And then they fixed an issue where you could still get Magicka from heavy attacks attacking a target with this ability without actually healing them. And then Undo, they fixed an issue where the animation thing was broken. Blood Altar, they fixed it. Synergy Visuals. Alliance War Support Barrier. They increased the cost of this ultimate and its morphs to 250 up from 200 to ensure it meets standards with other ultimates that apply to 12 targets. Replenishing Barrier, or fixed an issue where this ability could apply to non-group targets. Alright, Champion System. Shadow Strike, fixed an issue, fixed a movement issue involving this passive. And then the Atronach Physical Weapon Expert. This passive now properly works with unarmed light and heavy attacks. Now, there's a reason why this is good. Unarmed. That means fist attacks. They're really getting this idea of, hey, we want players to be able to play and enjoy the game how they want. This is expanding on that and increasing the DPS you can do with light and heavy attacks, which is really cool. Alright, Consumables. So they updated Alliance Source Potions to reflect power level of max level crafted and crowned potions, resulting in increase of their resources restored and duration across the board. They now better reflect following things. Battle Draughts are now mimic Gold Coast Warrior Elixirs. Spell Draughts now mimic Gold Coast Spell Elixirs. And Health Draughts, the Gold Coast Survivor Elixirs. Potions that grant the detection bonus now properly apply the visual effects. Fixed an issue where you could activate certain potions while stunned. Now we're going to get into the long part. See, all this other stuff was just filler for the next stuff, because the next of it is a lot of gear set changes, item set changes, not only to regular item sets, but monster sets, weapon sets. Those are the Master, Maelstrom, Black Rose Prison, and Asylum Sanctorum sets. All that stuff is getting changed, because the Master and Maelstrom, or Arena, Dragonstar Arena and Maelstrom Arena, are now going to have a perfect and a normal version of their weapons. So you can run it on normal, get the items to drop in blue. Okay, now these aren't going to be perfected versions. They don't get the perfected bonus. You just get them. So this is a great thing for casual players. A great way for you to get the tools that you're looking for, work towards getting them, and then use those to get better versions of them. So, first one, Aegis Gallowin. This set is, and its perfected version, now grant empower to 11 allies rather than only 3. This set no longer has a 50% chance to proc, but instead has 2-second cooldown, up from 1. They also fixed an issue where the radius of the bonus was not as large as the tooltip indicated. Amber Plasm, this set now grants health recovery alongside its magic and stam recovery, and they increase the bonus of each recovery to 276 up from 250. Archmage, this set now increases your magic recovery by 360 for 10 seconds after dealing damage with a fully charged heavy attack, rather than granting 834 Magicka whenever you fully charge your fully charged heavy attack, or did a fully charged heavy attack. Ashin Grip, this set now deals damage in the same size as Fiery Breath does, resulting in twice the arc and reach than it previously did, ensuring it more appropriately matches the visual effects. Bahar's Curse, they fixed an issue where this set's damage was considered direct damage in some cases. They also fixed an issue where the final tick of damage from this set did not heal. I'm glad they fixed that. Draugr's Rest fixed, or they increased the total healing done from the set to 19,404 over the duration, up from 11,000. Elfbane, this set no longer works with channeled effects or beams. So it only works on direct damage and damage over time. Ember Shield, they fixed an issue where this damage, where the damage from this set was considered direct damage instead of damage over time. They also reduced the armor granted to 3,300 down from 3,440, and they decreased the damage done per tick to 860 down from 1,032. This set also no longer has a proc chance, so that's kind of cool. Grace of Gloom, they increased the duration of the set to 10 seconds up from 10, increased the cooldown to 25 seconds up from 15, and this set now probably works with Overland and Morph's heavy attacks. Overload and Morph's. Morph's heavy attacks. Alright, Hand of Mephala. This set now has a negative telegraph to denote the damage area. Healing Mage, this set now more accurately procs off abilities that meet its stated requirements, and they fixed an issue where the enemies affected by this debuff in the area around you did not match the typical sort selection, prioritizing the nearest enemies. Impregnable Armor, this set now grants 1,650 critical resistance down from 2,000, and that's because they made an adjustment to crit resist. Kvatch's Gladiator, this set now increases your weapon damage by 1,475 against targets under 25% health, rather than increasing your weapon damage and with light and heavy attacks by 1,880 against targets under 25% health. So this is really interesting. So it does 1,475 rather than increasing your weapon damage by 1,800. So, okay, I'm definitely going to have to do some testing with this, because that's still really good. Leeching Plate. Fixed an issue where this set's damage was considered direct damage in some cases. Fixed an issue. Ogrim Scales. This set now increases your health recovery by 800 and your armor by 6,400 at or below 60% health, rather than increasing your health recovery by 50% while below 60% health. Wow. Queen's Elegant. This set now causes your light attacks to reduce the health, magic, and stamina cost of your next ability used by 10%, and your fully charged heavy attacks to increase the damage of your next direct damage attack by 2610. Previously, it had a 20% increase to your light and heavy attacks. I don't know. That one there just throws me off, kind of. Reactive Armor. This set now reduces your damage taken by 33% for 5 seconds after affected by disabling effect with the 20-second cooldown, rather than reducing the damage taken by 35% while you are disabled. This set now works with snares. Okay, that's cool. Robes of the Hiss slightly redesigned this set to apply a heal over time that heals you, or heals for the original value every second for 5 seconds after being hit by a disabling effect, rather than healing once every second while under the effect of one. Okay, they fixed an issue where this set could be self-imposed. Yeah, okay. Robes of Transmutation. This set now grants 1,400 critical resistance for 5 seconds and procs conditions when the proc conditions are met, rather than 1,304 for 20 seconds. Savage Werewolf fixed an issue where this set would double proc from dual wield heavy attacks. Sensual Defender fixed an issue where this is considered beam attack as direct damage. Sergeant's Mail increased the damage bonus from fully charged heavy attacks to 2257 up from 1634. Tormentor. This set now more accurately describes its abilities. It works with and has a proc condition expanded to work with more abilities that fall into the standard type it was designed to. Previously, it only worked on abilities that open or operated as charge, but now works on charges, leaps, teleports, and pulls. This set will continue to not work with blinks such as Streak. That's actually kind of cool. Vampire Lord. This set now increases the bonuses and penalties of your vampire stages by the following amount. Stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. Flame damage taken 1, 2, 4, and 6%. Regular cost increase 1, 2, 4, and 6%. And vampire ability cost decreased by 5, 10, 15, and 20%. Winterborn. Fixed an issue where the snare from this set could fail to apply in situations. Alright, Monster Masks. Monster Masks have been updated to be more comparable to 5-piece sets in regard to our set bonus efficiency standards. While most value adjustments, a few sets have received larger adjustments to either bring them in line with intended fantasies or to improve their flexibility in use cases. So, starting with the next one, Balor. This set now grants weapon and spell damage equal to the amount of ultimate spent rather than double the amount spent. It also grants physical and spell penetration equal to 23 times the amount spent. Wow. And they decrease the duration of 12 seconds up from 10. Wow, that's crazy. Bloodspawn. Reduce the armor granted to 300 from 6450. Reduce the ultimate down to 8 from 14. And reduce the duration of the cooldown to 5 seconds down from 6. Developer comment. Bloodspawn was one of the original monster masks created before the game had time to develop more complex behaviors and mechanics. Because of the total power it enabled, it is oftentimes significantly higher than other sets, leading to situations where it overshadows them. With these adjustments, we decided to retain the defensive and offensive options while a wider window of opportunity. With these adjustments, we decided to retain the defensive and offensive options. Reduce duration and cooldown helps to tone it down in smaller skirmishes while retaining some of its power in outnumbered situations, since it will be able to proc more frequently and give ultimate each time. See, I do like Bloodspawn. I think that's a really good change, and I think this will play better into the players of, into the players rather than, oh, you nerfed it. Choked Thorn. This set now heals for 24,409 over 6 seconds rather than 19. What? Dang. Increase the proc chance to 15% up from 10, and they reduce the range of the beam to 15 meters in order to introduce more counterplay with its stronger heal. Okay, that's cool. I know some people are going to be like, are you crazy? No, that is actually really cool. I like that. Dama House. This set now grants 300 weapon and spell damage while standing in the ring rather than 200. The outer ring now deals 1,380 damage up from 1,000, and they remove the proc chance from this set. What? That's crazy. Earthgore. This set now heals for 29,700 over 10 seconds rather than 30,000 over 6 seconds to reduce the burst heal potential. And they reduce the cooldown to 20 seconds from 35 seconds. That's going to make it a mainstay again. That's going to bring it back in line with freaking what it was before. Sorry to say, but it will. Engine Guardian. This set now restores 550 Magicka or Stamina per tick rather than 1204. Increase the healing to 1955 per tick up from 1204 and reduce the range of the beam to 15 meters from 28. Fixed an issue where the sphere wouldn't attempt. Fixed an issue where the cooldown displayed. Okay. And then they go in explaining this too. So, similar to Bloodspawn, Engine Guardian is a set that was made during the different time in the game's life and has significantly affected balance decisions made for other resource return sets. Oftentimes, monster masks that deal with resource management would be significantly stronger than 5-piece counterparts because of this. By reducing the total regeneration possible from this set, we can allow for a healthier balance between all sets in the game, and the healing has been increased to better match other healing set standards as well. Grundwolf. Reduce the primary resource restore granted from this set to 700 and a secondary to 350, down from 1,000 and 500 respectively. Alambris, they increase the damage done from each meteor shower to 2015, up from 1170. You can no longer layer each meteor shower. Increase the proc chance to 33%. Fixed an issue where the set was triggering other proc sets, and they fixed an issue where the set's fire damage was not extended by Elfbane. Infernal Guardian. Decreased the damage done to 4,400, down from 5,000. Fixed an issue where the set would fail to proc from a hardening enchantment while using a channeling heavy attack. Okay. Jolner's Nightmare. Fixed an issue where this could become bonuses such as Image of Knowledge. Krogs, increase the damage per tick by this set to 1345, up from 1300. That's not too bad. Lord Warden, reduce the armor bonus of the one-piece set to 1487, down from 2975, and decrease the armor bonus of the proc to 3180, down from 3870. That's gonna be interesting. I want to see what people do with that. Marcelok, reduce the damage done to 7,200, down from 8,800. Maw of the Infernal, streamline the damage of the Daedrith's attacks to always deal 3,865 damage over each ability's duration, which is 2 seconds, down from varying values, which average 4,257. The Daedrith will now follow a pattern of its attacks combinations rather than having random chance to cause them. They fixed an issue where the breath attack was, while proccing burning significantly more frequently, more than intended. They increased the proc chance to 33, up from 10, and the Daedrith can no longer be targeted. They also changed the one-piece bonus to max magicka from max health. That's interesting. Really interesting. You're gonna have to do some serious looking into that. Chuden, reduce the one-piece bonus to 1487, down from 2975. Oh, killer, don't go crazy over that. Molag Kinna, increase the weapon and spell damage from this set to 560, up from 515. Mother Cannonant, increase the magicka granted from this set to 822, up from 600. Nirnith, increase the damage to 9393, up from 8890. Increase the proc chance up to 15% from 10%, and the one piece now grants spell damage rather than max health. I like it. Bogdan's, decrease the healing per tick to 2460, down from, okay, like literally 100 almost, and then they increase the proc chance to 20%. Okay, I can live with that. Pirate Skeleton, reduce the one-piece bonus of armor, okay, decrease the cooldown of the proc set to 15 seconds, down from 20 seconds, and increase the proc chance to 10%, up from 8. Scourge Harvester, Malabeth, decrease the damage to 5715 over its duration, down from 5805, and increase the proc chance to 10%. Sounds good. Selene's, increase the damage, yeah, it's like way more. Cellatrix, increase the damage. This set no longer has a proc chance. Slightly increase the cooldown to 6 seconds from 5.5 seconds. That's actually kind of cool. I'm going to have to really get in and test that one. Sentinel of Rakuzma, or Rakuzma, whatever. Remove the proc chance from this set. Reduce the tick amount of the heal and resource restore by 1. Increase the maximum, or magic and stamina restore to 125 per tick, up from 115. What? Okay. Shadowrend. This set no longer applies minor maim to targets hit for 3 seconds. Instead, reduces the damage done by 5% for 2 seconds. This debuff cannot stack with multiple sources. Significantly reduced and streamlined the damage of Clanfear's attacks to 800 per hit from 3,240. This attack, the attacks it deals are no longer random. Reduce the cast time of Tail Swipe attack by 400 milliseconds and reduce its cooldown to 3 seconds. Rather than introducing huge cooldown, okay. Spawn of Folly, increase the damage to 1340, up from 1096. That's actually really good. Stonekeeper, reduce the health, magic, and stamina restored from the set to 2480, down from 5350. Reduce the cooldown stacker to 250 milliseconds, down from 1 second, to better match the cooldown of blocks cost. Stormfist, increase the damage of the final explosion to 8,470, up from 8,000. The shock damage of the set now bypasses spell resistance. Sweet. Swarm Mother, change the one-piece bonus of the set to max magicka and stamina instead of 129 stamina recovery. That's actually really, really good. Oh, but I did love having that recovery. Symphony of Blades, this set now restores 570 resources per tick, down from 2325. The cooldown is 18 seconds, or of 18 seconds is now applied per target rather than overall. Thorvikin, reduce the damage per tick of the set to 100, down from 430. Increase the cooldown to 16 seconds, up from 8. See, that's what you should have done a long time ago. Not make it ridiculously overpowered. Tremor Scale, increase the damage to 6,000, up from 5,850. Increase the cooldown to 8 seconds, up from 4. Enemies hit by the damage now have their physical resistance reduced by 2395 for 8 seconds, rather than being snared by 70% for 3 seconds, and they removed the proc set from the set. That's actually kind of cool. Troll Key, reduce the health recovery to 925, down from that, and fixed an issue where the had the range limit being bound to heals that already passed range check. Vulcan Soria, this set's one-piece bonus now grants spell penetration rather than max health, and they decrease the splash damage of the meteor to 3535, down from 4000. Valadrith, they increase the damage to 10,752 per spore, and reduce the cooldown to 8 seconds from 9. Zons, oh, Thorvikins is the one I was talking about. Thorvikins was fine the way it was. Zons is the one that was bad. Decrease the initial damage of this set to 2110 or 2010, and then increase the damage scaling to 100% per stack from 50%. Increase the duration of the beam to 6 seconds up from 5. Increase the proc chance. Yeah, you just made it ridiculous. Jeez. I liked Thorvikins. Thorvikins was the poison set I liked using on a Necromancer or disease set. It's one of those. Arena weapon changes. Asylum Sanctorium. Chaotic Whirlwind. Casting Whirlwind now envelops yourself with a whirlwind for 6 seconds, which strikes out to 3 random enemies every second, dealing X amount of physical damage with a 10-second cooldown. The perfected version no longer has a unique value, instead grants 666 weapon critical. Concentrated Force. I think this is a staff. This perfected version of this set no longer has a unique value, and instead grants 103 spell damage. They fixed an issue where this set was allowing elemental attacks to proc its respective status for a short duration after reaching the proc conditions, rather than immediately applying each elemental status effect listed. They fixed an issue where this set could fail to apply if you bar swap before it landed. Defensive Position. Increase the base restore of 2,200 magicka and the maximum restore to 6,600. The perfected version no longer has a unique value and instead grants 877 max stamina. Discipline Slash. Reduce the maximum ultimate return from this weapon to 12, down from 15. Fixed an issue where the ultimate restore started at 48.9% rather than 49.9, and fixed an issue where the restore could return 0 despite the FX proccing, and will now restore a minimum of 1 ultimate whenever it procs on targets low enough. The perfected version no longer has a unique value and instead grants 877 stamina. Piercing Spray. Enemies hit by your arrow spray now have your physical resistance, or have their physical resistance reduced by 6,600 against incoming bow attacks for 10 seconds. The perfected version also grants 1190 physical penetration. Timeless Blessing. Reduce the cost reduction of this set to 21%, down from 27%, and the perfected version of this set no longer has a unique value and instead grants 877 magicka. a long read, guys. Black Rose Prison, Gallant Charge. Reduce the perfected version of armor to 1190. Mender's Ward. Reduce the duration of Major Vitality to 2 seconds down from 3. Reduce the perfected version's mag recovery to 103. Radiant Uppercut. This set now deals 45% of the damage dealt with Uppercut to all nearby targets rather than 100% to only one nearby target. Reduce the perfected version penetration to 1190. Spectral Cloak. This item set now increases the damage done and reduces the damage taken by 10% for 2 seconds when dealing damage with Blade Cloak, rather than granting major protection for 3 seconds after casting it. They also reduce the perfected version's stamina recovery to 103. That's actually pretty cool. Virulent Shot. Increase the damage of the set bonus by 65% of the damage done of your scatter shot up from 50% and reduce the perfected version's weapon critical to 666. It should have been 656 because 666, you know, that's just dangerous. Wild Impulse. Increase the damage done by this set to 3965 per elemental tick up from 3333. And reduce the version's spell penetration to 1190. Dragon Star Arena. Caustic Arrow. This set now grants 330 weapon damage against targets affected with Poison Arrow up from 300. This set now has a perfected version that grants 103 weapon damage. That's actually really cool. So you can get this if you run on normal. If you run it on veteran, you get this. So you get the perfected version. Destructive Impact. This set now grants up to 600 spell damage for 4 seconds after casting Destructive Touch. Reduce the cost reduction granted towards Destructive Touch to 10% down from 30. And this set now has a perfected version that grants 103 spell damage. Grand Rejuvenation. This is the Healer Staff. This set now grants up to 117 Magicka and Stamina to target affected, up from 100, and this set has a perfected version that grants up to 877 Magicka, so it increases your max Magicka pool by 877. Puncturing Remedy, the Sword and Shield, reduces the healing granted from the set to 6130, increased it, from 2500, increase the duration to 5 seconds up from 3, and the amount granted from this set will now incorporate overhealing into its calculation, ensuring you will always grant a benefit when engaged with. This set now has a perfect version which grants up to 3% healing taken. Stinging Slashes, the Daggers. This set now increases any instance of damage done with Twin Slashes by 2102 rather than only increasing the bleed damage by 1600. And this set has a perfected version which grants up to 666 weapon critical rating. Titan Cleave. Increase the stacking damage bonus of this set to 1550 up from 1500. Increase the target cap to 24 up from 6. And note, we will closely monitor the frequency of this. This allows utter devastation in large groups. Basically, anytime you use Cleave, you're going to get 1,550 extra damage added to your normal damage. And then on top of that, you can hit a maximum of 24 targets up from 6. And then this set now has a perfected version, which is 1190 physical pin. Maelstrom Arena. Cruel Flurry. Increase the weapon and spell damage granted from this set to 1690 up from 1000. This set now has a perfected version which increases your weapon damage by 103. Crushing Wall. Increase the damage to 1353 up from 1341, and this set now has a perfected version which it grants spell penetration. Merciless Charge, this is the two-handed weapon. Increase the damage done by this set by 10,032 over the duration up from 7,200. The damage done is now only against labeled as a bleed, or now once again labeled as a bleed. This set also has a perfected version which adds physical penetration. Precise regeneration, the Magicka, or the staff, the healer staff, decrease the Magicka granted from the set to 500, down from 800. Remove the cooldown from this set, though note it cannot proc from the event of stimulus critical heals from radiant regeneration. This set now has a perfected version which adds spell critical, which is actually really good too. Rampaging slashes. Now this is the dual, I think this is dual wield. Is it? You have cool for a merciless charge. Okay. Decrease the magic and stamina restore from this set to 1904, down from 2000. This set now has a perfected version which gives you 77 magic and stamina. I don't think that's what it... I think this is for Sword and Shield. And then, of course, everyone's favorite, the Maelstrom Bow. This set now increases the damage done to your volley by 430 and increases by 143 per tick, up from 320 and increase by 110 per tick. So this set now stacks up to a maximum of 8 times rather than continuously stacking, and this set has a perfected version which grants weapon critical. So you will be able to get this bow just running on normal. Alright. Traits. Reduce the armor trait and penetrate by 172 down from, or to 172 down from 258, and they fixed an issue with that, blah blah blah. Charge traits. So, new changes, extra measures preventing Vol and Drug from being held longer than intended, they're fixing on that. Art and animation fixes, crafting and economy, of course, dungeon and group content fixes. Dragon Star Arena got some fixes finally, guys. Events and celebration changes, exploration and itemization. Now this is interesting. Renamed Double Bloody Mara to Purifying Bloody Mara to support vampire changes in this update. Renamed Disastrously Bloody Mara to Corrupting Bloody Mara, also to support the vampire changes. And then adjusted the glowiness of the frozen dye, updated beast personality to no longer include personality in the name of the appearance collectibles. Personalized descriptions on rare fish, or standardized description of rare fish. Updating number of siege weapons, clarified warding, achievements, housing, furnishing, homes. Just a lot of stuff, guys. And I mean a lot of stuff. Look at all this UI fixes, and that is it. Now, I do want to say this. Please remember that 99% of these changes will probably hit the game. And the reason I say that is because there wasn't a lot of class changes. So there's not a lot of stuff to fix there. A lot of this is set improvements and set adjustments. We might see a change to the 666 value, because some people will say that's like the number of the beast, it's a hellspawn thing, whatever you want to say. But if you're supernatural or whatever, into that stuff. But otherwise, that's the only thing I can see changing, literally out of all this stuff. Because the rest of it, I feel, needed to happen. A lot of this stuff needed some serious changes. And I am glad they finally did the change to arena weapons, where now you can get Maelstrom and Dragon Star, or Master weapons and Maelstrom weapons, on normal mode. This will make it so good for so many casual players who just want to play the game and enjoy it and be rewarded. They're not getting rewarded with a gold perfected item. They're getting rewarded with a blue normal version, which they can upgrade to gold and then work towards getting that gold item, which will really play well into helping people get geared up for more in-game stuff. So this is it's a nice trade-off, and it's really good for the casual player who's just looking to get a couple of set pieces, to have for their tank or their healer or their DPS or whatever, just to have. Then I do like some of the changes to some of the sets, the monster sets. Not all of them. Like I said, Thorvikin's got me a little distraught. Because I like Thorvikin's. Lord Warden seems a little to me. A little bit of a crusher there. Lombris sounds great now. Engine Guardian sounds a little wonky, but we'll have to see. I mean, a lot of these do sound really good. I even like the changes to Bloodspawn, because I feel like this plays better into the set than what it had, because before it was overpowered. Now you got this good, like, balance. You got good armor, you got this good ultimate gain, and you got a decent cooldown. So, but I do like a lot of these changes. I like the fact that we're getting the 6 delves, the 2 public dungeons, the 6 world bosses, and they're going to be in the different locations. You know, Western Skyrim and in Blackreach. So that's really cool. We're getting a new trial, which is going to have perfect and normal versions of the sets, which are going to be great for those who are gearing towards getting more in-game playable. Then you have these great drop sets and crafted sets that they added to the game, which are mind-blowing. Then you have all this other stuff that they've done or are doing, like adding the Horror Storms to the new location. They're adding all this other stuff. I cannot wait, to be honest, to get in and test some of this stuff, because it'll be really fun. I will not, unfortunately, be able to get on today much to test, so don't expect a video out tomorrow on anything, except for maybe taking a look at the Antiquities stuff and how that works. Because there's not a whole lot of information on it. I mean, there is, but it's more like you got to really focus into reading about it and stuff like that, and I would much rather just get in and check it out. So the Antiquity stuff sounds really fun. Can't wait to test it and see what it's all about. And yeah, but other than that, that's pretty much it for this PTS patch notes, guys. I hope you guys liked this. I know I kind of rushed through it, and I do apologize, but if I didn't, this thing would have been like 3 hours long. So, but that's it for now, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying your private time and your alone time. I do have a video coming out tomorrow where I am going to go and explain why I've been away for the last several weeks, what I've been up to, what I've been doing, and also kind of tell you guys about some of the things that you don't know about going on in the background that I've had to get taken care of and that I've been dealing with to try and bring you these videos. So, but that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you guys know what's coming next. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.